delicious divinity, it is beautiful to see you here today. And I am inside because although it is actually fine out there, it is blowy. And blowy means noisy, and I don't like to compete with the wind. So today we got rocks. Yay, we got rocks. This is calcite, right? This lovely soft brown orange calcite. And of course it's a Merkaba. This is really groovy because it looks square, and then it looks like a Star of David, and then you can see triangles and pyramids and everything. And I love this one. So, just enjoy it, and it spins, of course, and it changes depending on if you do it like that. Suddenly it becomes something else, like a bow tie. Morning, beautiful people. I can see you coming on. It's lovely to have you here. Zella, it's great to see you, beautiful being. It's beautiful to be here with you. And because today we're kind of talking about relationships, but we're really talking about feeling like you belong, actually. We got hearts today. This is Labradorite. And, Labradorite, shiny, sparkly thing. And it has got blue bits on both sides. They're quite different. Good morning, Mike. It's lovely to see you. Mimi, it's you. I'm still working out whose little face is who, but it's lovely to see you. So, there we go. Well, you're a crafty person, Zella. It's nice to have lots of things to play with. And this one is bluestone. Not a natural thing at all. This is actually glass that's got blue dye in it, I believe, and little sparkly bits of metal that make it sparkle. Linda, it's you! Incoming shuttle is running late, so that means you got nobody to deal with. How fantastic. It's lovely to have you with us. So, sparkly blue heart. It's lovely to have you all joining in. My God, that was quick with the rocks. I've got to show off this again. Just don't have enough beauty if it's only 2 minutes. I'm looking at the clock and thinking, my God, I must have a lot to say. So, the Labradorite's very sweet. This actually is a stone that when I bought it was pretty sad. I felt it when I looked at it on the screen. And, there it is. It's not sad anymore. It's happy to be here. So, I had a lovely friend ask me a question yesterday, and I said, yeah, great topic for a live, because that's what they said it would be. Totally right. And the question was along the lines of, what do you do when a significant other is really saying, well, you need to put boundaries, and I need to have boundaries, and your needs are crossing over my boundaries, and the whole thing of people wanting and needing different things. And I'm extrapolating a little bit. I only know a little teeny tiny about this connection, which has actually come to a completion, come to an end. And it's appropriate, but it's been difficult. And the feeling that I have about this interaction is that the person was saying, I love you, but. Eves, it's you, honey! It's great to see you. And yeah, the Labradorite's gorgeous, Linda. It's just a really lovely piece. And so I wanted to talk about what I know of that. And, disclaimer, actually that's not true. I have experienced that a long time ago, before I had any clue about this stuff. And so and I think this even sort of potentially borders on the whole topic of gaslighting and narcissism and people saying, I love you, but, Nora, it's you, and lots of people relate to this, and I don't really want to talk about that because there's a whole lot of drama, and I don't know, I just don't want to go there. That's not what I want to talk about, because it's all about the problem, right? I'm not interested in the problem. I'm not interested in the story. I'm not interested in how awful it was. I'm interested in what I can learn from it and how we can move forward. So, with that said, when I was thinking about the question, I was thinking, well, what's the aspirational statement? Really, this is the process that goes on in my head. Somebody's saying, here's a thing that's bugging me. And I'm not interested in doing a post that says, well, let's talk about the thing that's bugging you. I want to know what the doorway out of that or the way forward out of that is. That's the aspirational statement. What if you can change your life? What if you can reject the crap that people are putting on you in the name of I love you? It's like, oh, I love you, but you have to shut yourself down. Oh, I love you, but you can't think out loud. You can't say what you mean. You can't have what you need because your needs impinge upon my boundaries. And if you love me, you wouldn't impinge on my boundary. I mean, what a load of crap. Really. A lot of bullshit. And I have been there. I recognise that now. Long story. Old story. Irrelevant. But I know what it's like. So, what do you do, really? And I mean, you could say that this is one variety of abuse or victimization or, that, right? And always with those things, there is an addictive, codependent, creating this together, we are doing this dance, playing this game of tennis. It feeds on itself. It keeps going. Sanchia, it's lovely to see you. And yeah, Christmas is, I realised, because I've actually sort of had this question from two corners and I thought, oh yeah, it's in the air. That's right. It is the time of year when this stuff happens a lot. Family, expectations, how you should be, what we expect of you, how much you should do for Christmas Day. I mean, really? Anyway, so the answer is simple, but by no means easy. And it comes down to breaking out of the cycle of victimhood, and anybody who has left domestic abuse knows about this. You have to get to a point where you are willing to step into the unknown. Because the abuse, the belittlement, you must do what I want because I love you and I want you to be here, but only if I can control you so that I feel safe. That's not love at all, right? Just, forget that. That's not love. That is something else. Everybody who's ever got out of that kind of situation gets to a point where they reject it. Where something inside them says, enough, I'm done, I have to stop this. I have to value myself and usually my children, because it's the kids, you finally wake up and see what's happening to the children and think, oh my God, for my kids, I have to get out of this. But, there's many situations. Something inside you says, enough. And it may take you who knows how long to make the change. But quite often you can look back on a moment and think, that was when I decided. So there's the first thing. When you just have to say, enough. You have to decide that you're going to reject the bullshit. And one of the things you have to reject is the idea that love hurts. The idea that you have to hurt yourself in order to be loved. The idea that you have to let yourself go in order to be accepted. The idea that you have to lose something of yourself in order to gain love. That is rubbish. It's a lie. It's bullshit. And it's just about being controlled, really. And it's about you giving yourself away to meet other people's expectations, which we all do. Okay, I am not beating you up, judging you, saying you're weak or wrong or anything if that is what you know you are doing. Now, why is it so hard sometimes to get out of this? Oh my God. Because sometimes people are really buttoned into a situation and it's not as simple as saying, screw you, I'm out of here. That's why it can take significant amounts of time. Okay, this has to change. How the hell am I going to do this? The logistical challenges of making a significant change in your life. Good morning, Andrew. Can be really, how do I implement this? But it starts with realizing that anybody who's saying, I love you, as long as you do be whatever X to keep me happy, does not love you. And more than that, they don't love themselves. They have to control you to make themselves feel safe, fundamentally, or empowered, or something other than what they feel, which is scared, helpless, whatever else themselves. And just to look at the elephant in the room and recognise and go, oh my God, a fucking big elephant. I have to get out of this room. Shit, how do I do that? That's the thing. That is the first thing. You have to realise it's not love. Forget it. If you thought that was love, if you grew up with that kind of dynamic in your home, and people do, right? Many people do. The thing about that is that when you are small, up until about the age of 7, you don't have things going on inside your head that allow you to analyse information and decide if you agree with it or not. From your first 2 years, you're in delta with your eyes open. You know what delta is? Sleep. That's what the brain is doing when you're in delta. When you're asleep, you're in delta. It's a very slow oscillation. You know, they measure it. It's 0.5 to 4 cycles a second. Slow, right? You're asleep. That's why babies sleep so much, because they're in delta. And when you're in delta, are you able to analyse and think about what's going on in your world and decide if it's true or not? No! Now, from ages about 2 to 6 or 7, a child's brain goes into theta. Theta is, 4 to 8 cycles per second. Bit faster. But you know what theta is? Hypnosis. That's what people pay hypnotists to do, is to put them into theta and program them at an unconscious, subconscious level. Do you have any equipment going on in your brain, any fast enough brain waves to analyse information that's coming from the outside world, from your parents, from friends, from anything that's happening to you, and decide whether it's true for you or not? No, it just goes in. So if there is abuse, if there is codependency, if there is whatever that's going on, that's just normal for you. And I know there's some of you who listen to these lives and you say, it was just normal for me that life was stressful and difficult and everybody was fighting all the time and I was scared all the time. That was just normal. And love meant I had to just, I had to work really hard for little breadcrumbs of barely affection, or maybe just to survive. That's just normal. And then you grow up, that's 7 years old, and then the brain is gathering more information, and the more information it starts to notice about what's outside your skin and in the outside world, as opposed to the inside world. Like when a child's in delta and theta, their experience is what they feel, period. So it's very hard to reason with kids because they're just inside their feeling experience. You've got to understand this is what's going on with the brain. There's no analytical facility. Between ages 7 and 11, 12, they go into alpha. Now, alpha is, 8 to 11 cycles a second. I'm finally remembering this. And a little bit faster. And alpha is the world of imagination. Right? So when a child is imagining, or when you're imagining, if you're just, thinking, remembering a nice memory, or imagining your next holiday, or imagining a different life, you're in alpha. If you're really there, if you're paying attention, your internal world is more real to you than your external world. But you can sort of look at it and think about it. And the 7 to 12, that's when kids start to develop their intellect, and they start to think, hang on a minute, little Susie next door goes home. I don't hear any screaming from that house when they're screaming in my house. What does that mean? And you start to put things together, and they figure out Santa Claus isn't real and all that stuff. The analytical mind comes on board. Jen, it's you, honey. Great to see you. The brain is now going fast enough that it can start to put things together and make comparisons. And by the time, 11, 12, the brain speeds up, it's paying more attention to all the information that's coming from the outside world and your senses, goes into beta, which is, 12 cycles a second and up, and there's 3 kinds of beta, but we're not going to talk about that now. And now you're conscious and you're aware, and you're starting to make analytical choices, right, about relationships and everything else. We're talking about relationships and families and how it all works in terms of being a person, fitting in and belonging. Oh my God, that word, to a community, or that word, society, all of those things. But you've spent 7 years having all this stuff just come into your subconscious, unconscious memory systems with no analysis, no realization. So you're running all those programs. And then you grow up and you get bigger and you think, well, I want a romantic or whatever relationship myself. And you don't realise that you are making connections based upon these unconscious, completely unrecognised programs inside you. Now, you can consciously be aware that you grew up in a house of abuse, whatever, to use that example, and you think, well, I don't want that. And so you go out there looking for somebody that isn't like that, right? But unbeknownst to you, you're still running those programs, and you can pick the person that looks just right. And they can tick all the boxes. And then, 3 months, 6 months, however long it is later, you're back in the same pattern again. It's because unconsciously those patterns are running. So, that's how it works. That's how it happens. And that's why we don't realise it and recognise it, because it's normal to us. And which is why when you get to that point of thinking, enough, I got to go somewhere new. I got to do something entirely different. I have to end this. It's a very deep decision. I've watched people make it. I've made it myself. And you're going somewhere you don't know. Because all you know is relationships at work like that. And all you know is feeling worthless and feeling small and feeling useless and feeling bad and feeling guilty because you're used to people saying, oh, no, that's not right. These people that you just can't please. Oh, my God, I remember that. What you do, it's like you do the thing, you please them and they're happy. And then you do that thing, but they're not happy anymore. So you have to do more to make them happy. And you say, oh, would you like me to crawl over glass with that? It's like an order of suffering to keep this person happy. It's like, oh, piss off, enough. So, yeah, I do remember this. It wasn't extreme, but, inside me it was extreme because that's just who I was. So, to recognise it and realise the first step is to reject it utterly. And then immediately to realise that just because you've rejected it doesn't mean that you have changed your own programs. Now, how do you do that? How do you change those unconscious programs? Well, you first have to start becoming aware of them. And to do that, you can look at that connection, that relationship, the family, whatever it is, the interaction that you just think, oh my God, no, I don't want to be like this anymore. And just look at that and think, okay, when I'm with that person, what are the thoughts that are going through my head? Oh, I wonder how long it's going to be before they're going to give me that nasty look again. And I'll think, oh, God. That used to be me at work, by the way. It was nobody's fault. But for so long, I remember it was like this. Like, somebody would call my name and I think, oh, what have I done? Just automatic reaction. And I remember there was a particular workplace where I was working with lovely people because I changed just enough to manifest that. And after, I think it was a couple of years being in that workplace, I finally realised that when one of them called my name, my automatic response was not to think, what have I done? I'd finally let that go. But I didn't have the tools that I have today to change myself. Now I can go into the unified field, I can get very deep into my autonomic nervous system, my subconscious programs, and rewrite them. And I love that. But to start with, if I'm going to do that, I need to know what they are. So that when you've recognised a situation that you don't want to live anymore, use it as fodder. Notice what you are thinking in that situation. Notice what you're feeling, but notice the thoughts, notice the feelings, and think, okay, here they are. And just pick 2 or 3. God, you can go crazy, but just pick a couple. Pick the worst one. Because if you pick the worst one and you make a change with that, you're going to change all the others. You can get to the others in due course, right? Where you think, oh, I want to change it all. No, just put 1, 2 if you're desperate. Having identified an aspect of yourself that you want to change, decide who you want to be instead. Forget analysing where it came from, why I'm like this, and all the reasons, it just reiterates the story. Forget it. I'm not interested in the story. It doesn't help me. Who do you want to be? What do you want to feel and think? Now if I was back in that workplace situation, I'd say, okay, how I want to feel when somebody calls my name because they got work for me. Or actually because I don't know. They just call my name to get my attention. I want to feel comfortable in myself. I want to feel confident in my ability to manage whatever comes. I want to feel strong enough in myself to be able to say, no, that's crap, and I don't accept that. Now, very politically correctly, okay, with, ruffling as few feathers as possible. But I actually want to feel confident in myself to say, piss off. No! That was the biggest thing in me, was finding my no. Oh my God, that took me a lot longer. So for me, in any situation where there's an imbalance of power and the relationship's off, I need to connect with my no. And I also need to connect with the love in me that respects myself enough to say that, to work out how I'm going to say that, to practice in my mind, okay, I want to be able to say no. And I want to be able to say no in a way that I'm proud of. How the heck do I do that? And that might take you a week to work that out if you've never done it before. That's what I'm passionate about. When I catch myself thinking something that is not who I want to continue to be, and feeling, because the thinking always leads to a feeling. There's always going to be a feeling. So, okay, this is how I want to think. I want to think. I can say no if I need to. I don't have to accept it if they don't like me. Oh my God, I used to so internalize criticism. It was excruciating. And to think, my God, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be able to accept criticism that's constructive and go, okay, yep, I can change that. Thank you, that's good. And if it's not constructive criticism, just go, okay, whatever. No, I think that's a load of shit, but I'm not going to argue with you. Or whatever, to actually work out, well, how do I want to feel? And imagine that, practice it. Imagine feeling like this person's unloading crap on you and you just don't care. Because it's not true. It's their shit. Because they're scared or they're insecure or they've had their boss yell at them and they feel awful or whatever. But it's not my job to fix it. It's my job to look after me so I can do my best, in the situation. So that's what I'm talking about. And then, of course, that all feels very unfamiliar and scary and it's so easy to go back to being the victim. Really easy. But that isn't what you want. So you have a choice between that which is familiar and easy, but you don't want to be there, or that which is unfamiliar, which you have to learn and practice as a new skill of being the person that you want to be, and that is where you want to go. And that's the choice we're making. And we have the ability to do it. And there are tools that make it a damn sight easier, but this is the process that starts it. You have to work it out. It's not going to fall out of the sky and suddenly say, I know how I want to be and how it feels. No, you have to work it out. But that is our right and our power and our ability as creators in our lives. To stop living old stories and old victimhood and decide who we're going to be instead. And I love it because I get to do that too. It's so empowering. Big love. Thank you for being with me. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.